So up until this stage, your website can display content, and they can show text, images, videos, and links. But today, everything is going to change because in this lesson, your website becomes interactive, and this is where you will start thinking like a real developer. Welcome back. If you have been following the lesson so far, you are doing something that most people don't. You are staying consistent, and that's exactly how developers are built. Before we move into today's lesson, there are two important things that I want to show you. You see, learning alone can be very difficult sometimes, but learning with others is very, very powerful. I've created a Discord community for this course. In this server, you can ask questions, you can share your progress, and you can get help when you are stuck. You can also connect with other learners like you. So this is the invite link. This invite link is going to be in the description. So when you just accept this invite link, so you can see the community here. When you just click on the invite link, it will bring you to this. If you don't have a Discord account, it's going to tell you to create one. If you already have a Discord account, the Discord account is going to tell you to log in into it so that you can just accept the invitation. So now this is Discord, the Discord community I've created. So the first thing I want you to do when when you join this community is to introduce yourself. So you can say something like, "My name is Vincent Onyunze, and and I am and I'm taking the full stack web web development course." So it's very simple. Just join the server, introduce yourself, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And we also have a general chat in here. You can chat, ask any question you want. Don't be afraid to ask every question. Everybody here is learning, and you see people who you might find somebody who is just starting to learn today, but he will be able to have experience with the issue you're having. So ask question, any question you want to ask about tech, any question at all, you can ask it here in this server. Now, before we move forward, there are few important things in HTML that I intentionally didn't explain earlier because I don't want to overwhelm you. But now you are ready to learn all those things. Now I'm going to clear all this place, and I'm going to start in a proper HTML structure again here. Now I'm going to show you a shortcut that I'm going to use, that I'm going to do this week. I'm going to put this emit abbreviation over here. This is the emit abbreviation. So I'm just going to put this emit abbreviation. If you look at what this emit abbreviation can do. So when I press my tab, it's going to give me this the default HTML structure in here. So that's just very easy. Let me do it again. You just put the emit abbreviation, then you click your tab. It's going to give you this default HTML structure. So let me make this bigger so you can see it will give you this default HTML structure. Now there are some things I know you'll be seeing here for the first time, something like the lang here, this lang in here, the meta here, and this meta also. These are things that I didn't show you earlier before because I don't want to overwhelm you, but now I can easily explain this to you guys. Now the what I want to show you here is this lang.en. So the lang here means language. The lang you are seeing here means language. You can see if I hover over it, and VS Code will pop out the meaning for us here. You see VS Code say helps define the language of an element, the language that non-editable elements are in, or the language that editable elements should be written in by the user. You can see if you just read this down, it's going to give you the meaning of what this. I see this is coming from the MDN. This is coming from, it's referencing from the MDN, which is the Mandela Development Network. You can click this if you want to open this Mozilla Development Net. You can see if you want to open Mozilla Development Developer Network, you can see you can also read more about this lang in here. So that's just something beautiful that VS Code does for us. You can see you can also read more about anything you want in here. So that's just it. The en in here means English. The en in here means English. So what we are just saying is that our code here will be written in English. So you just say lang, define the attributes contains one language tag, and we just put in the language here, we put en, which is English. So that's just what this tag is doing here. So it helps the browser understand your content. It also helps search engine to understand your website. So that's just what this language or what this lang en is defining here, defining that the language is English. So the character set here, the meta tag chart set, which is character set UTF-8. So if you hover over it here like this, if you just hover over it, you will see that it will pop up this explanation. You can also read it here. So what this tag is doing here is just telling your browser how to display text correctly, like symbols, emojis, and special characters. Like it's just telling your browser how to display text, how to display content correctly. And it's very important to always include this to HTML document. So it's very important to always include this to HTML document so that the browser will understand how to display text correctly. Now the viewport, which is this, the viewport, which is this is one of the most important lines for model website. It makes your website responsive. If you look at our HTML that we have been writing so far, we have not included this. We have not been including this, but now I'm introducing it to you because this is one of the things that model website must have. All your HTML documents must have exactly this default content and structure that you are seeing here. So this viewport in here is very important because it makes your website responsive. And what I mean by responsive, which means when you resize your page, for example, when you resize your page, it will always resize and the content will also always show in a very, very good way. So which means and also your website can display properly on phones, tablets, and laptops. So it helps scale your website and make sure that your website is responsive. Tells the browser how to control the website scaling, how to control the website content and scaling. So that's just what it's doing here. You can also hover to it and read more about it. These few things I just introduced to you, these few things I just explained to you, it's what actually separates beginners from real developers, because with this now you can know what you are actually doing. You can understand why you have to put lang in your document, also why you have to put a character set UTF-8 in your document, also why you have to put a viewport and content width device initial scale 1.0. This is what separates beginners from actual developers, because now you understand why all these tags are important and why you need to use them in your HTML document. Now that you have understand how HTML documents works properly, we are going to move to the main topic. You see, forms are what allow users to interact with your website. Like we have the login forms, we have the sign up forms, the contact forms, even the search bar where someone can input a text and you will click search. You see, all these forms are what help your website to be interactive. Users can interact with your website. And you see, without forms, users can only see your website. But with forms, users can talk to your website. Like they can input their login details and login. They can contact you. Maybe you can create a contact form where you can have fill details, fill in their email, fill in their contact message, and they'll be able to contact you. So forms is very important in your website. Now I'm going to do what you have been doing. I'm going to let me just click the H1 here. Let me put this hello here. So I'm just going to continue with this. I've cleared what was here because I want to show you this structure. So I'm just going to continue with this that I have here now. So as you all remember, I'm just going to go live in here so that I'll display this in my browser. So now we are live here, and so we are going to be doing some examples of forms here. I want to believe you guys are seeing this very well. So now to declare a form, we always start with something called, we also always have this tag, which is form, which element that we use to call a form. Now, just like this now is how we start creating a form in HTML. Now, this is the container for all the form elements. Every form element you want to create must have this form as their container. We are going to take this one by one. The first one I want to create here, and they can have a label. The label can be the name of the form you want to create. You can see I just have a form there. Then they can also have an input. So the input tag is safe close. You don't need to close the input tag. That's why I just display like that. Now input will have a type. The first type I want to show you here is text. Now if you look at what I've done here, I've created a form here that have the label of name, and the input here is text. You can see this is a text input, this is a text type of form. The input field in here allow users to enter data just like I did. You can see name, I can write name. So the input field here allow users to enter data. You can see the type of data, the type of input field that this is here is text. Now we are going to add another type of input field in here. Let me just do a horizontal rule. I believe you all already know that. We did that in our previous course last. So I'm going to do a horizontal rule here to separate these two. Now in here now, I'm going to do another input field. Uh, I'm going to first give it a label. So I'm going to give it a label of email. So I'm going to create another input field for email. So I'm going to create an input. I'm going to give the type as email. So now you can see we have the input field for name here with the type of text. I have another input field here for email with the type of email. I will all have a label for it. This one is labeled as name and this one is labeled as email. Now I also want to add another input field here. Now I want to add the input field called password. So let me just create a label for it first and let me call it password. Then I'm going to create an input field here, an input here, and I'm going to give it a type password. You can see now we have another input field here named password. And if you look at it, because you give it a type password, when you try to input any content inside here, it automatically hide it and display it like a password. So that's another way another input field you can create here again. So now the next thing I want to show you here is the submit button. So you can see we can also create a button here and we'll name it submit. Now when we create on this submit button and when we click on this submit, you can see it automatically refresh this page. It's not just refreshing this page, it's actually sending this data. Now I'm just going to make this look a little bit better. I'm going to change this to the break. If you all remember, we did something called break, and just going to make it 2 here so that it will have a little space below. It's not actually proper to do this. We are going to be having a way we can create space with HTML, but I'm just doing this so that this our form can look good for now. So you can see. So now with this, now I've created this form. Now this submit button here is just helping us to send this data. That's just what the submit is doing. Now before, let me just add to make this look a little bit nice. Let me just come in here and I add a login. Okay, so let me create a H2 and let me call it login page. So I just want this to look nice a little bit. So login page, we have set a login page. I don't think login page actually asks for name, or let me just say contact page. So let me say contact page so that to ask for your name, email, and your password. So this is what we are just doing in here. So now the next thing I want to show you is the placeholder. Now what placeholder help us to do is it help us to put a content inside of here. Maybe you have seen a login form where they don't have this label, it's just the form, but this name is inside it. So that is called a placeholder. Let me just show you a quick example. Inside this type text, we'll just open here and we'll say placeholder. Now in this your placeholder, I can just say enter your name. So if you look at what is happening here, we have put a placeholder inside this input field that is telling the user to enter his name. So when the user just starts typing his name, you can see now that placeholder just disappear. So that's just the use of a placeholder. It helps the user to input. It helps us to tell the user, describe to the user what he actually needs to do here. You can see you can put any content inside your placeholder. That's just the functionality of a placeholder here. Another one I want to also introduce to you is required. But before I do that, let me just put a placeholder in all this feed here. Here, let me say enter your email. So let me also do this here. Let me say placeholder, enter your password. So you can see now that this is what placeholder is actually doing. Now the next thing I want to introduce to you guys here is required. Now for now, you can see what is happening here is that we can put in our name. We'll put it in our email. This is not my email actually, but I just want to use this to explain to you guys. So we can put it in my email here and we'll click submit. Now, even without us putting anything in this password input, when we click submit, all the data is still being submitted. Now, we don't want it to be like that. We want to make sure that the password field is not empty. The user is also inputting his password before this can be submitted. Now, I'm going to still do the same thing again. Let me just show you this example one more time. I put Vincent, I put my email. I did not put anything in the password. I click submit, all the data gets submitted. But I'm going to come down here after the placeholder here, and I'm going to put required. Now, what this required help us to do is make sure that this field is not empty. So now let me still try to do the same thing. I put my name, I put my email. This is the same thing I did, and I click submit. You see, right now it's not allowing me to submit. It's telling me that please fill out this field. It's telling me that this password is required. That's just what this required is helping us to achieve here, making sure that this field is required. There is content inside this field, and when I just try to put some content inside there, submit, you can see now that it submits successfully. So that's just what the required is doing there. And because all this field that's required, I'm going to put this in all my feed here. So I'm going to add it here. I'm also going to add it here because all these feed in here are required. So this lesson is getting a little bit long. So we're going to stop here right now. And in the next session, we're going to go deeper into forms. We're going to look at some more advanced forms elements we can create. Right now, we're just doing the text type of form. Right in the next section, we're going to go deeper into forms. We're going to look at different types of forms we can create, and we're going to look at more attributes that forms elements also have. And I'll see you in that one.